If you have a child interested in history or you have always wanted to visit New England in the fall, keep watching for the best 7-day itinerary in Boston for those who love history.
I'm Christina. I'm a traveler, a planner, and most importantly, a mom. I'm sharing my best tips to make traveling as a family a little less stressful. So put down your phone, pack your bags, and let's showcase the world.
Hey there, busy breakers. Welcome back to Showcase the World Travel. My name's Christina and I am the owner of Showcase the World Travel, a modern travel agency dedicated to helping families take a break from the busy. Today we're diving into one of my favorite cities in the world, Boston. I grew up just 30 miles north of the city. Now I'm still north of the city, but a little bit east. And even though I plan family vacations all over the globe, Boston holds a special place in my heart. And I know there's a shadow on my face and it's not the best video, but I couldn't do this video without my Red Sox cap. Because today I'm sharing the ultimate Boston itinerary for families who love history. So let's get started. So I think that Boston is such a great spot to explore other places in Massachusetts. This itinerary covers Massachusetts. I do have some videos that go a little bit more through New England. So if you're looking for more leaf peeping, going up to New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, you're going to want to check out this video here. This is more centered on Boston and the history in the area. And I was sitting at the Boston Tea Party Museum with my daughter on one of our mommy-daughter adventures. So Annabelle was in preschool. She starts kindergarten in September. So we're not going to have our mommy-daughter day anymore. I am trying to figure out how to work it into our new schedule because I don't want to lose that time or that break from the busy for me. But we've been doing a lot of these as part of our Thursday adventures, and I was sitting at the Tea Party Museum and I was like, what if you did this in chronological order? And so that's how I put together this itinerary, so kids who are just getting into history, understanding things, can kind of see how things have changed, right? And so where best to start than in Plymouth? Because Plymouth is where it all began in 1620 with the arrival of the Mayflower and the Pilgrims. You can start your adventure at Plymouth Plantation, which is an incredible living history museum where actors reenact daily colonial life. You can visit Plymouth Rock, though you probably will be disappointed. It's a very small rock, but it's the symbol of the Pilgrim struggles and triumphs. So you start at Plymouth Plantation, head to the Rock and the replica of the Mayflower. That's right downtown. And so after you finish those, you can take a stroll through downtown Plymouth. During the weekends or later in the evenings in the summer, you can always hear music coming from the local pubs, and it adds this lively atmosphere to your day. For dinner, I recommend Wood Seafood for some traditional New England seafood, and grab an ice cream at Peaceful Meadows. Then you're going to return to your hotel in Boston. If you want to see my favorite hotels in Boston, you're going to check out this here. Plymouth is about a 45-minute drive from Boston, and you could either rent a car or your travel advisor can put together a tour for you with a driver included in that. So however you want to access it, we can easily do that, or you can rent a car and we'll make sure you're at a hotel that does offer parking, because parking is a little bit difficult inside city of Boston proper, and that's probably where you're going to want to be based. Day 2, you're going to head up to Salem. Salem is famously known for the 1692 witch trials. You can visit the Salem Witch Museum to understand the fear and superstition of that time. It can be a little bit scary though, so you might want to just be aware of your child's sensitivities. I really like the Peabody Essex Museum, which offers fascinating exhibits on maritime history and Asian art. There's also some artifacts from the witch trials there as well. So if you want to see some real artifacts, that's going to be at the Peabody Essex Museum. For lunch, I really like the Witch's Brew Cafe, and of course your kids are going to want to stop by Ye Old Pepper Company, America's oldest candy company, for a sweet treat. While you're in Salem, I also really love the trolley tour where you can see the witch house, you can see how architecture has evolved. If you want to learn a little bit more about Salem, you want to check out this video here, but definitely worth a visit, especially if you are a little bit into the supernatural. We can help schedule a psychic reading for you. There's a lot of really cool crystal shops there, so just a really, really fun day in Salem. Then day 3, you're going to explore a little bit more of Boston. Boston is known for the Freedom Trail, and it's a 2.5-mile trail that explores 16 historically significant sites, including Paul Revere's house, the Old North Church, and the Boston Massacre site. I know 2.5 miles seems like a lot. There is a few sites over in Charlestown, and so that kind of adds some time to the trail. So if you wanted to do a more condensed trail, you could start in the North End and end right downtown. The North End is Boston's Little Italy, so you might not want to start there first thing in the morning. Maybe you want to end there so that you can end that tour with some delicious pizza at Regina Pizzeria or at one of the incredible restaurants. There are 100 restaurants in this little tiny area. I really like Monica's Trattoria or Al Dente. Monica's also has a sandwich shop that's separate from the restaurant, and they have one of my favorite sandwiches in the world. My 2 favorite sandwiches in the world are Monica's caprese sandwich with prosciutto and a sandwich from Mother's in New Orleans. So that's how high level Monica's sandwiches are. Or you could try a famous cannoli. Mike's Pastries is the most famous. I would recommend going to Modern Pastry across the street, or even Bova's, which is next to that sandwich shop. Also, the Boston Tea Party Ships and Museums is one of the best museums in Boston. It is so well put together, so accessible for kids. You get to throw tea into the harbor. It's located very close to the actual site where it happened. Very well put together museum, and definitely a must-do on any trip to Boston, no matter what your focus is. I might actually even start the day with the Tea Party Museum and then spend the afternoon doing the trail. So Tea Party Museum, get a lobster roll at James Hook, do the Freedom Trail, and end in the North End for dinner would probably be the best way to structure that day. Day 4, you're going to head out of the city again and head to Lexington and Concord, right? So we learned about the Pilgrims and then a little bit about the Puritans and Salem. Now we're starting to learn about the events that led to the Revolution. So the Boston Tea Party, the Boston Massacre, and then, ending at the Old North Church right before lunch or dinner in the North End is going to set you up for the next day, which is going to be out in Lexington and Concord. If you remember, Paul Revere is the one we remember the most. Paul Revere's house is on the Freedom Trail. He was in Charlestown, where he rode up to warn Sam Adams and some other founding fathers that the British were coming. So in order to know which way they were coming, by land or by sea, the caretaker of the Old North Church hung either 1 lantern or 2 lanterns, right? 1 if by land, 2 if by sea. And so Paul Revere and 3 other incredible men rode out to Lexington and Concord to let them know that they were coming towards the storehouse, and the local militia was called up. And so you can visit Minuteman National Historic Park, which is where the first shots of the American Revolution were fired. You can visit the bridge in Concord, the Lexington Green, where these battles took place. Also, you can start to transition beyond Revolutionary history into the Transcendentalist movement. So the homes of Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau are in this area, where you kind of start going into the 19th century, right? So we have this whole Transcendentalist movement. We have authors like Louisa May Alcott, her home, Orchard House, which her life inspired the story of Little Women, and her house is featured in a lot of the Little Women movies. You can visit that house as well. That's one of my favorites. For lunch, I recommend Conker's Colonial Inn because of the historical significance, and there's some great food. It's actually where I had my baby shower. So I would start the day with the Revolutionary piece, visiting the historical park, the museum there, having lunch at Concord's Colonial Inn, and then going to some of the Transcendentalist homes, Louisa May Alcott's homes. I recommend Concord's Colonial Inn because it is a historically significant building and has been serving food for generations, and it's also where my bridal shower was held, so historical significance for me personally also. So that was day 4. Day 5, you're going to kind of go from the Transcendentalists to the Back Bay. The Back Bay was filled in, so it used to be all water. It was filled in the 19th century. So Back Bay was filled in around the same time as the Transcendentalists, so you're kind of going through. I love to do a duck tour, so you can pick duck tours up from multiple places, but if you're going to be in the Copley area, which is where I would recommend spending this day, you're going to want to pick it up in Copley. It's right at the Prudential Center. And so you want to start with a duck tour. You have these amphibious vehicles that cover key sites in the city, plus you get to go into the water and see the modern day skyline. Spend your afternoon in the Back Bay exploring Copley Square, the Boston Public Library, and the stunning Maparium. There's a ton of incredible restaurants on Newbury Street. Stephanie's on Newbury is probably the most famous for classical American cuisine and a cozy atmosphere. It's probably the most attractive to tourists, but there's some great restaurants down there. So if there's anything that you're interested in, there's a type of food that you really, really like, we can definitely make a recommendation. Some of my favorites are Citrus and Salt, which is a little bit closer to the south end than Copley, but still worth the visit. It's a Mexican restaurant. And then Buttermilk and Bourbon is southern, but delicious. And there's plenty of seafood there as well that we can make a recommendation. Day 6 is going to be Fenway Park. Fenway Park was built at the turn of the century. So we've moved through the 1800s. Now we're at the turn of the century, and you can take a tour of the iconic baseball stadium. If possible, we can plan your trip to make sure you can catch a game. If not, you can take a tour. And then the surrounding Fenway neighborhood is perfect for exploring with tons of baseball favorites. Really like Tasty Burger as an option up there. For some extra fun, if you want to fill this day even more, you can visit the Boston Children's Museum if you have young kids. You can visit the Museum of Fine Arts or the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. Those are in the Fenway area. Boston Children's Museum's down by the seaport, but the other two are in the Fenway area for those interested in art. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum is phenomenal. It's absolutely beautiful inside. It's more than just a traditional art museum. You have this beautiful interior courtyard. It's just a stunning museum. So those would be my recommendations if you want to fill the day. If not, this is a great day to just say, hey, we've had a lot of full days. Let's just relax. Let's spend some time at the hotel. Let's walk around. So that's going to be your day 6. Day 7, we're going to go a little bit more into modern history and one of my favorite museums in the city. I feel like I've said that a lot. So actually in college, I did take a class about curating museums and curating history. And so we learned a lot about what goes into curating a museum and how do you make it interactive and accessible, and how do you give information for people who want more information, or how do you make it quick for people who are going through with kids and just want the highlights. And so 2 of the most incredible museums I've been to in the world are the JFK Presidential Library and the Boston Tea Party Museum. So both of those I would say are a must-do on any trip to Boston. So on day 7, spending some time at the Presidential Library and Museum is what I would definitely recommend. You have some insightful exhibits on JFK's life, presidency, and legacy. And so it's kind of on the opposite side of the city. It's a little bit outside of the city. It's a little difficult to get to. It's on the red line, so if you're comfortable with the T, you can definitely get out there that way. Also on the red line, on the opposite side of the city, is Harvard. So that might be a great day to pair. You can do Harvard University campus with the Harvard Museum of Natural History, and then take the T down to the JFK Library. Definitely worth doing. If you want to to do something that's not really so far apart from each other, the Museum of Science is a great one as well. I think that's a great follow-up to the JFK library because a lot of scientific advancements came from the space program, and that all came from JFK. So I think that's a great transition as well. And you can finish your day with a meal at Legal Seafoods, which is one of our very famous local chains that a lot of visitors to the city really enjoy. So finish your day with a meal at the Union Oyster House. We're going to pull everything together there because the Union Oyster House is one of the oldest operated restaurants in the United States. It was founded in the 1600s. It's been serving since the 1600s, but there is a booth there that JFK used to frequent for his oysters. And so you can get some oysters, you can get some steamers, some really Boston favorites. I love the clam chowder here. They have great lobster, and their cornbread is also delicious. Boston is a city where every cobblestone tells a story, and it offers families a chance to step into history while enjoying the vibrancy of modern urban life. From the early days of America's founding to the lively streets of Fenway, Boston promises rich educational and exciting vacation. If you want to see some other incredible places that you can take your kids to explore the history, you might want to download our guide, 18 Summers. There are favorite family destinations for every age, and they're organized by age. So depending on your kid's age, we're going to recommend some places that are really, really great to visit with them. You can get that by clicking the link in the description below. If you're ready to start planning your perfect historical getaway, make sure you contact myself or one of my agents at Showcase the World Travel. Thank you so much for joining us on the historical exploration of Boston. If you've enjoyed this itinerary and you're looking for more unique family travel ideas, make sure to follow our blog, join the conversation on social media, or subscribe to get notified when more videos come live. We love helping families create lifetime memories with every adventure. Thank you so much for joining me, and don't forget to take a break from the busy.
Need help planning your next family vacation? Visit us at showcasetheworld.com to request a quote or schedule a free vacation consultation. Want more great travel tips? You'll find those there too.